Hello, this is Tom Lewis, and I just have returned from a very short court hearing regarding the FBI agent from the hostage rescue team who allegedly fired the first shots at LaVoy Finicum and the truck that he was in before they stopped. And he's being arraigned, I believe, on obstruction of justice and other. They didn't really read off the charges, but anyway, I hope he gets justice done because he is the one receives justice because he is the one who started the process that led to the murder of LaVoy Finicum by shooting from an Oregon State policeman. There are some other people that have been interviewed that I've also recorded, and I will post them as soon as I get a chance. I think I'm heading back to Albany now. So anyway, I hope all is well with everybody, and I will go now. Bye. Hello, this is Tom Lewis, and I'm at home. And I just thought I would give an update to the activities of today. The FBI agent, I believe his name is Astarita, I'll have to look that up again, is going to be indicted. He's being charged with obstructing justice and lying. However, there's no charge for attempted murder, as he did try to shoot and kill the occupants of the vehicle that LaVoy Finicum was in. And he started shooting before the vehicle could stop. It appears that we have a government, FBI, they call it the hostage rescue team, which does not rescue people, it simply takes people hostage. It's somewhat like Newspeak in 1984, where the Ministry of Peace handles the war, the Ministry of Love is in charge of torture, and the Ministry of Truth is in charge of propaganda. The trial will be set for August 29th in Portland. It is interesting to note that that the name was not published of the FBI agent, nor was the docket clear, or nor was his name on the docket. But since we heard a great deal about it, since there was some advanced publicity, the courtroom was full of spectators and observers, and I'm one of them. He has access to special counsel or special defense from the government, and the prosecutors are the government. So we have, again, the government investigating the government, and hopefully we will have a jury who can decide whether or not he was innocent or guilty. So at least we'll have an impartial jury. That did happen with the first trial. There have been several people who have already made live streams, and I was also taking videos of people as they're being interviewed, primarily because they're being interviewed by Fox News, and I'm not sure that those interviewing the people will show the entire interview, or may just show bits and pieces of out of context material. Anyway, I hope this person does get justice. What I am going to do is put together this video and some other videos that I took today. I didn't know that there were going to be interviews, so I didn't bring my regular good camera out and just videoed with this tablet, but I'll put them up on YouTube. And I'm hoping to see that the people, the FBI agents and the Oregon State Police get justice for what I consider to be a cold-blooded murder of LaVoy Finicum. He exited the truck and it appeared that he exited the truck in order to draw any fire away from the truck, as there are other occupants in the truck, including an 18-year-old young lady named Victoria Sharp, whom both Shauna Cox and Ryan Bundy pushed down to protect her from the bullets. And then afterwards, it's my understanding that they left LaVoy Finicum's body on the ground the whole night, and there is speculation that that they planted a gun on him. There are some people who believe that he was drawing a gun. However, that was not likely. It showed him staggering in the snow, either because of the snow or because he'd already been hit. But anyway, I hope that justice is done here. I'm glad to see that some officers of the law, both the FBI and the Oregon State Police, will be brought to justice. There are those who are linking the shooting of LaVoy Finicum, his murder, to activity from both Obama and Kate Brown, the governor of Oregon. I will do more research into that link and determine the credibility of that. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a live stream, and I'll hope to put it up, download this and then upload this to YouTube with some other of the others. And I'll talk to you later. And hello, Gwen Creek. I'm glad to see that you're viewing clear from Eastern Tennessee. And somebody else, and James Batten, are viewing from Aiken, South Carolina. And have a good day, and bye-bye.
What, give me your name and spell for me, just so I can get a mic check there.
It's Mona Cleveland, MonaCleveland.
And money you drove from Burns County?
Yes, sir.
And why is that?
We want justice for LaVoy Finicum. We want justice for them. And we want the political prisoners to be set free.
And why do you have such strong feelings
For me personally, it is an attack against the American people. And in my opinion, LaVoy is more than a hero. He was a man of noble character. And him getting out of the vehicle was really, in my opinion, his way of protecting the other people that were in the truck. And of course, he was fatally shot. And it's heartbreaking. And everybody feels the aftermath of that. We're basically the slaves of the government, and they can do whatever they wanted. Had I have shot somebody, I would not have walked out of that courtroom today free. I would be in jail just like all the other political prisoners are. So it's sad. It's very sad.
And so why do you think he gets special treatment as he just faces?
Well, because he's the FBI. He's part of the government. He's part of the problem. Had he not have fired that first shot, I don't believe that there would have been any shots to come afterwards. And the fact that he lied. He shot 2 rounds and lied about it. Shame on him.
So you're here to...
I'm definitely here to support. I want justice. He should be under for attempted manslaughter. And I think that anybody that was just a common citizen, they would have gotten an attempted manslaughter. And he's getting special treatment, absolutely.
Anything else you want to say about kind of everything that's going on? I mean, this is just
This is just a very small part of the big picture, and it started with the Hammonds, and the Bundys came to make a stand for the Hammonds and to make a hard stand, and it's just an injustice. And so we've got people that are getting away with murder while you have other people that have been in prison for well over a year. Like, they're going on 500 days. And that's a lot of time. And they're being mistreated. They've all been hurt in one form or fashion. And they didn't get the courtesy of walking out on their own recognizance. They didn't get that. That's wrong. So what's good for one is good for all. And so if he can walk out of this courtroom and not suffer any consequences today or lose his freedom for what he has done, then they should let every political prisoner out until they have been found guilty. And they haven't found them guilty. So it's a double standard.
Were you in there earlier, or you just?
Yes.
And what happened when you were in?
Actually, it was very kind of secretive. The bailiff, I think he's one of the FBI guys. His last name is Kelly. Came in and he made a statement of, if there is an outburst, you will be immediately removed from the courtroom. Well, for the record, I'm not intimidated by him. I'm the one that laughed when he said it. So I'm not intimidated by him, and there should have been an outburst. There should have been people that stood up and said, he fired the shot that ultimately got this man killed. The charges are wrong. But he's bigger than all of us, and he has a lot of people in there that could have tased us, that could have shot us, that could have done all kinds of things. So we sit there quietly in hopes that that judge will do the right thing. And it's sad. It's sad. And I don't know about anybody that watches, but I am tired. I am sick and tired of people being intimidated by the quote-unquote government. We have more rights if you're a part of the government than you do as a citizen. And that's wrong. And they put their pants on the same way we do. And LaVoy should never have been murdered. Never. Ever.
Okay, and the flag was the flag.
This is actually LaVoy Finicum's flag. It's his brand. And a lot of us have the tattoos. This one is LaVoy's, and then of course we have the Bundys. On up we have the Hammonds. And so it's just our way of saying we remember you're our neighbor, and we will stand. We'll stand for you. LaVoy died, so I will stand for him.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think you set it up very well spoken.
Kelly's a great one to talk
Okay,
to.
sure. I'll talk to her.
Oh, we're live. He will be charged. Got it right now. With obstruction of justice.
That's one of three that you should have received. Actually, one of
Obstruction
four
of
you should have
justice.
So tell me about what happened today and your opinion on what happened.
received. Well, while I'm happy an indictment came down, it's one very small indictment in the bigger picture of how many indictments should have come down. This FBI agent fired multiple shots and then lied about them. Not only did he fire shots, he fired shots at a man whose hands were in the air. And then he stood around with 4 or 5 other FBI agents on camera and collected up his casings. So while it's great to have something and to know he's going to face charges, at the end of the day he should be facing charges for conspiracy to murder, along with attempted murder, along with conspiracy to impede a federal investigation. Much of the charges the government likes to hand out are conspiracy charges. I'd like to see some conspiracy charges issued for this man because a conspiracy clearly existed, and it was his shots that would have put LaVoy on the defense. So if in fact LaVoy was armed, which I do not believe he was armed, I do believe that the gun was planted, and that's why they left him in the snow overnight to go back to the refuge and collect his gun. If in fact he had it, he would have only been acting in self-defense because of this very FBI agent. So while this FBI agent didn't kill him, he fired the shots that potentially are the reason that he's dead today.
Wasn't there video of him getting out and he was pulling something from the...
No, there's no
There's
video
not?
of that.
Okay.
There's video of him getting out of the truck. He has his hands up. He says, "You're going to have to shoot me," and then his window is blown out, and there's 2 bullets that go through the roof of his truck. That's what this man was indicted for. Then he moved away from the truck I believe one of the other gunmen came out and shot him with a rubber bullet in the hip, which is when he brought his hand down, and then he pointed at that man. And then he brought his hand down again, and then he was shot 3 times in the back. So if this happened to a civilian, this would be a massive conspiracy charge, and every single person involved would have been indicted in this conspiracy and had to go before a jury and prove that they were not all working together to have this man murdered.
Okay, and he's out on bail right now.
He is out on bail. He has not been arrested.
And you think that's because he's not really a flight risk since he's an FBI agent, or
No, it's not because he's not a flight risk, because Ammon Bundy and all of the rest of them in Bunkerville are not flight risks either. They're not going anywhere. This is their country, and they're here to stand up and protect and defend it. This man is not incarcerated because he's a federal agent. And federal agents...
Sorry, let's start that over.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that happens all the time. Okay, it's good to tell me that again. What do you think about him being released?
He is not being held because we do not hold our officials and our FBI and our police force accountable for their crimes. I believe it's been since 2002 or 3 since an officer was actually found guilty and convicted of a charge for murder. So it doesn't surprise me that an FBI agent would not be currently incarcerated. The Bundys and everybody in Nevada are not flight risks. They're not going anywhere. In fact, they stood to defend their land. So to think that they are flight risks and that this man is not is absolutely backwards. This man should be sitting in jail right now. He fired a weapon at another human and then he lied about it. And he was on our tax dollars doing so. He should be in jail right now.
And do you think he will?
Absolutely
Be in
not.
jail?
I think the only reason if he does go to jail, it will be because the government needed an scapegoat because they knew they were not going to get out of this one because he himself lied. It's not just that he didn't own up to shooting, it's that he lied and said, I did not fire my weapon. So if he goes to jail, it will probably be a very minimal sentence, and justice in the end will still not be served because his only charge at this point is obstruction of justice. How about attempted murder? How about impeding a federal investigation? How about conspiracy to murder?
I wasn't in there. Can they tack that on later? Or?
Absolutely, they can tack that on later. We've learned in the Portland trial they can add their charges at any time.
Anything else you want to add or say about it?
We want justice for LaVoy. We want the men held accountable. We want to know the names of the organizations. Was this premeditated? Did he head to the scene knowing that he wanted to kill certain individuals? Because names won't be released, there can be no true investigation. They investigate themselves and they find themselves without fault.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to get a couple shots. I could take your mic off. And
They
then I'll
won't
get...
release his
It's like you're sitting watching the mob play out right before your eyes and you can see all the players that are working together and you know
So
you're
much-
absolutely
yeah.
screwed.
So much tyranny and sedition in that courtroom. It's ridiculous.
Anyway, it's something else. They've all been denied bail. They're coming up on 500 days without their trial. It's something else. It really is.
Sure thing. How long have you personally been following that process? You seem to know a lot about Judge Navarro, for example, and other federal judges. Like, how have you become so involved?
Before last January, I was involved in nothing, and I had never attended court. And then Ammon and Ryan went and occupied the refuge, and I was just watching from home and heard armed militants took over a building, and it sounded terrifying. But then I watched and listened to their reports that they were giving to the media, and I thought, are there two different things happening? Because this is a bunch of cowboys saying they're trying to expose injustice happening in Hardin County. This isn't armed militants who have taken over a building. This is a bunch of cowboys that are trying to expose crimes, and they're using public property to do so. It seems pretty appropriate to me when you've exhausted all other options. You've gone to your governor and your senators and the sheriffs, and they've reached out to every branch of this government that they could reach out to, and they were completely ignored. So then they go and they say, we need a place to stay. Let's go to the refuge, which is 30 miles outside of town. And we better be armed because we know exactly what this government does to unarmed protesters. Ask Dapple what they do. They mace you and they, spray you with freezing water. And their weapons were not to intimidate anybody unless you're a threat and you're coming to kill them, then you probably should be afraid. But yes, I started following that, saw what they were doing out there, found their stories to be truthful, actually contacted people, asked questions, came down here and met them, became friends with their families, and realized these people are not criminals, and they do not belong behind bars. Right. They do not belong behind bars. Anyway.
So then, Is that when you got involved with P3P or the P3s then? Because
Yeah.
that seems like this is all pretty well connected.
Yeah, this is because this is the so what we were saying, I was trying to explain earlier, is that FBI agent who fired the initial shots. LaVoy was jumping out of his car and then he moved 20 feet away after this FBI agent that was indicted today fired these 3 shots. And the FBI agent lied and said he didn't fire any shots, even though there's a recording of the window being blown out. So LaVoy then moved like 20 feet away with his hands still in the air, reached down twice to his side like he had been hit with something, and then he was shot 3 times in the back. And so my continued question is, they say he had a gun, which I know he did not have a gun. His holster was still left back at the refuge, and the people there saw his gun and holster that day. So the fact that they left LaVoy overnight in the snow, and then only his gun was found on him, but not the holster that he always puts the gun in. Instead, it was sewn into this little itty bitty pocket inside of him, which you just wouldn't even jump out of a car with this gun flapping around in your jacket.
Yeah.
If he did have a gun, I would then say if this officer fired when his hands were up, and then the next officers killed him, saying he had a gun on him, if he really was reaching for a gun, wouldn't he now be justified when, as soon as he stepped out of the truck, this FBI agent fired at him? Wouldn't it then be self-defense? You're out of the car, your hands are up, your window's blown out. What if you do reach for a gun going, these people are about to murder me, and my hands are in the air? Not that I believe he reached for a gun, because you don't reach for a gun surrounded by agents with snipers in the trees. You just don't do it. But no matter how you slice it, it was murder, and nobody's being held responsible for it. And there's not enough conservative white people who will come out and protest and speak out against this injustice, because we're all busy and we have jobs and kids and real lives, and we don't have time to come and bring the walls of corruption down. So as it is, we're happy after 17 months that somebody's indicted on, a ridiculous charge like obstruction of justice. It should be attempted murder, and he should be facing life in prison along with all the others who